Hey, welcome to the Travel Winds podcast. Today, my guest is Kate Monroe. She's the CEO of VetComm, and she's got a few other things going on. How are you doing today, Kate?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me.
No, I appreciate the time. I've wanted to have someone running for office or being in office on the show because it's a unique travel experience. I think.
Yeah.
Uh, where do you want to begin? Do you want to begin with VetComm, which is exciting to see how you're helping the veterans up and down the state?
Yeah. We help veterans not only in California, we help them across the nation. So we help veterans in all 50 states. I myself am a Marine Corps veteran. I have a military intelligence background. I'm rated at 100% disability. And on the journey of getting rated, I realized what an adversarial process it is.
Yeah,
It's set up to failure. It's with intention. They try to make it very hard. And so now we have done $924 million for veterans and their families just in the last calendar year in lifetime income. I mean, it's a really big thing that we do. We put $1,000 to $4,000 a month in their pocket every month for life. And there's no better thing we could be giving people in a down economy than money.
oh yeah, and I think with the money comes hope, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah.
If I could just get $500 or $1,000, I could get through this month and get to that
Yeah.
next level.
Yeah, we typically our average veteran gets more than 2,000 a month. So to give you an idea, I would say half of our veterans that we serve are older than 75. So they are currently putting back like the expensive cheese and the meat and
Yeah,
bread and barely making it. When we get them 2,000 a month, now they're putting a roof on their house. They're going on vacation. They have some room to breathe and they're actually getting to live out the balance of their life in a much bigger, better fashion.
totally, exactly. I mean, my aunt was a sergeant in the Marines for ended up I forget what level of sergeant, but she traveled the world and
Oh, it's a
married to a
fantastic
Marine,
experience.
so
Mhm.
she got to travel a little bit with her husband at the end, but it's always a struggle, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah,
you,
it's
you've
very
been a
difficult.
veteran, if you're a lifer, what else have you done? You've created some things, but it's tough when they come out.
It's very hard when they come out, and you see a little bit of that gypsy heart in most veterans.
Yeah,
They travel a lot, they move from state to state. Wherever they grew up, they typically don't go directly back there. They stay near the base they got out, and then they start to travel back across the country to wherever they came from. But they have a little bit more of that transient gypsy spirit.
absolutely.
So, veterans, they travel a lot. I mean, a lot of them have traveled the world. They've been on almost every continent. Travel is nothing to them. They think like, traveling to LA is nothing. They're thinking, oh, I'll go to Hawaii, I'll go to, Guatemala, I'll go, somewhere over in the Middle East. So yeah, it's a interesting thing for vets. I appreciate serving them, but they're difficult to serve in the way that they feel about their service. So
Yeah. Well, you're the first Marine I've had on. I've had three Navy
really,
SEALs. I've had an Army captain and an Air Force pilot. Yeah,
oh, very cool.
my
Well, I'm
first
glad to
term.
be the first. I would be the first female Marine ever in the history of Congress.
Really?
First one ever. And I
Ever?
would be the first woman to ever sit in this district seat ever in the history of Congress. Yeah, I could accomplish two big things for women if I win.
So as a
When I
transition,
win.
so
Yeah.
as a transition, you're running for Congress in the 49th District of
Yes.
California, which is Southern Orange County and
And
part of San
North San
Diego.
Diego. Yep.
Yeah, which includes Camp Pendleton.
Does. Yeah, you would think that would be to my benefit for sure. The largest Marine Corps base on planet Earth is right in the middle of the district, so that's helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah.
I that really kind of blows me away because at least South Orange County is pretty conservative, San Clemente
Yep.
and
So is
Onofre.
North San Diego County.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we
So
we narrowly miss like it. Daryl Issa used to sit in that seat for a
yeah,
very long time. It got redistricted, and he ended up taking 2 years off and then going for another seat. But he left it open for Mike Levin, and they put him on the Veteran Affairs Committee, even though he's not a veteran, because they're smart and they knew that it would help him retain that seat. So I really think I'm the only one that can unseat him and win that seat because I am a veteran. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I'm very well established, especially in North County, San Diego. So yeah, it's a race. Everybody said, it's a race. It's a sprint. I've been on a
yeah.
full on sprint, dead sprint between Congress and running my public company. So, but I like it. That's how I like my day to be set up. I like to be busy, even though sometimes it's, a little bit much,
A little busy, a
a
little
little
extra
bit much.
busy.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for being in Congress? And I say that in the sense of travel,
Yeah.
because you're in California, but then you're gonna have to go to DC, and then you got to come back, and your constituents are here, but then you got to be there to
Yeah.
do everything. It's kind of crazy.
Well, I've already gone back and forth about 8 times, over the last couple of
What's that
years.
called?
I helped to craft legislation for veterans called the
Yeah.
Veteran Entrepreneur Act. And in doing so, you have to have many meetings. I've met with most of the congressmen and senators to get that bipartisan, bicameral support. But I actually really enjoy DC. Once a year, I take my whole team out to DC and we drive over to Virginia. So I'll tell you about a fun trip, right? Since we're talking about travel.
Yeah.
This last year, I took 14 of us. The company flew 14 of us out to DC. We stayed in a beautiful little McMansion in Alexandria
Yeah.
and had a driver. I mean, it was beautiful. We went to a game in Virginia, or was it in North Carolina? It was between Virginia and North Carolina. And we went out to the PTSD ranch that we support. General Bob Dees has this beautiful
Nice.
ranch out in Virginia, right by Liberty University.
Okay.
And so we support them. It's a PTSD rehabilitation ranch, but it was the first time I ever held a chicken in my life, and I'm
Really?
deathly afraid of birds. They just completely scare me. And so I was holding, there's a hilarious video of me holding this chicken, and I didn't realize they were videoing me. The second I thought the picture was over, I was like, boop, hot potato. I dropped that chicken so fast. I was so scared. But my whole team, they said, one of the most meaningful trips they ever went on. And we
Nice.
even had two of the rooms in this little mansion had bunk beds set up. And I walk in to go find some of my team, and they're like in beds together, reading books together, watching movies on their iPad, like really bonding.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the first times I had an adult slumber party. And it was just it was great. It was one of the best trips I've been on too, to get to show my team all the stuff I see. Right. I go to
Yeah.
DC all the time. So I got to take them, down into Capitol Hill, and they got to meet some people and they got to see all the memorials. So it was really fulfilling for me, but it was a beautiful trip. Beautiful, beautiful.
Do you try to, because I know it's a work trip, but do you ever try to add in extra time so you can, even if you're not with your team, so you can
Oh
see
yeah.
things?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
to go have, some good food somewhere or go
Yeah.
see something that I haven't seen. Most people don't know it's not that far from DC to get to New York, right? It's not that
Right.
it's kind of like how San Diego centrally located. There's a lot of things that you can get to from here. DC is the same way. All those areas are so teeny tiny. Getting somewhere else is either a little hop flight. You could take a helicopter there. You can get a
Yeah.
driver to take you. So I love it. I like the East Coast culture. I don't know that I'd want to live there because I, appreciate our sunshine. But
Where did you
it was
grow
fun.
up?
I grew up in Northern California in Redding,
Oh, okay.
up by Lake Shasta.
Yeah, yeah. I love
Yeah.
Shasta.
Now I lived in the Panhandle of Florida when I was in the Marine Corps in Pensacola. I lived in Arizona. So I've lived, in a couple different types of climates.
Oh, I know my aunt was Greenland, and then she'd be like Yucca Valley, it's like, or Barstow,
Yeah.
and then it was San Diego, and then yeah, it was all over.
I didn't do much travel in my life until after I was out of the Marine Corps. I mean, I grew up in Reading, so there's not a
Yeah,
lot near there. It's not easy to get to an airport. I remember being in the Marine Corps, and in boot camp, I started to pass out. They had no idea why. I would, be standing at attention, just pass out. So when I was only 19, I was in South Carolina. They put me on a plane by myself. It's only like the fourth time I've flown in my life. There's no cell phones, no internet, no nothing.
yeah.
Fly me to San Diego to go to Balboa Hospital here by myself, put me up at the Pickwick Hotel, which is the nastiest hotel. It's like a drug dealer hotel, like it's a crack house. And I was so scared the entire night. So my whole impression the first time I came to San Diego was like,
Never
never, I
again.
will never go to that nasty city again. And then later, in about 2003, I moved here and realized what a beautiful city it is since I wasn't staying at the Pickwick Hotel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are certain areas that are
0 out of 5 stars for the Pickwick.
for forever. Doesn't matter.
Forever. Yeah. It's never, yeah. Don't even remodel it. Doesn't matter.
It just doesn't happen.
No.
You know, out of all the places you've seen, what's the most influential city or area that you've been to?
In the US,
Wherever, wherever you've been.
man, I've traveled a lot. I took a Viking River cruise,
Oh, those are cool.
and I got to tell you, those people know what they're doing as far as cruises go.
Yeah.
But we stopped in Cologne, which people say Cologne, but we stopped in Cologne, and we got to do the top of the monastery, like the church tour. We were walking on planks on the outside of the church, way up high by the spires, and it's the biggest church in the world. And so we got to go inside the church way up high and look down on the parishioners from
Oh, wow.
what felt like a million stories up. And just to get to see that entire city, when we were on that boat, we got to see a full replica of the Ark. And I remember my husband like joking, "Oh, we're going to see the Ark today. Then I can prove to you that there's no way two animals all fit on the Ark, right?" I go, "Okay, well, prepare to be disappointed in yourself." This riverboat that fit 200 people and staff and quarters and everything was this big compared to the replica of the Ark. When we
Oh,
went
wow.
by it on the river, it was, you couldn't even see the top of it. It was so big. My husband goes, "Well, I was wrong."
Oh, maybe.
I'll give you that. I was totally wrong. But Italy is beautiful. I think Lake Como is probably my favorite place in Italy. But here in the US, I have like a deep love for New York. I've been a
Oh,
lot of times,
okay.
and every time I go, I see a different
Are we
part of
talking
it.
New York City or are
New
we
York
talking?
City. Yeah,
Okay.
like down in New York City. We've seen a lot of plays there, had a lot of really good food, but it's the hum and buzz of that city. Now I haven't been in a while, so I know things have changed there,
Oh,
if I've been watching the news. But it's a very cool city. Cool. It has a lot of cool things to do culturally, I think,
that's one
in
of
the
the
whole
cities
of the
I got to
US.
go back to because I only went there for work. So I went there for like a 3 day
Oh,
work trip, and it was, I mean, we worked 14-hour days. I went to
no.
I went to the Bronx, and then I went to Queens, and then Brooklyn, and then back to Fort Lee, New Jersey, and then but I never went into Manhattan. I drove through it, but I never did the tourist stuff. So I got to go back.
Yeah, you got to go do the tourist stuff. Now, there's some tourist adjacent stuff that you might like after you go, like go the first time, be a tourist, then go back
Yeah.
and then do some of the things that all the people that live there recommend. But I just really liked it. It's a big melting pot, and I love food. If
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
thinking about where I want to go travel, it's got to have good food. Like I was actually disappointed that in many parts of Italy, the pizza wasn't very good. And like certain things that we eat here that we consider to be Italian
Yeah.
food, they literally they brought us a whole pizza, my husband and I. It was the first night we were there. We were so tired because we were jet lagged. We were like, I don't know, we'll get a pizza. They brought out a pizza, not cut, just a whole pizza.
And they're like,
And
have a
they
bite.
were so pissed at us for ordering it that they walked off. So we're sitting there for like 10 minutes like, "Hi, can we get some help?" They brought out scissors and chucked it on the table. We went, "Okay, well, we won't be ordering pizza over here in Italy." It's like if you go to sushi in New York, they won't let you add anything to it. They'll yell at you.
Really?
If you try to put little stuff, oh yeah, they're like, "It's good as it is." And they're like the soup Nazi. They'll scream at you.
The soup Nazi, I like that. Well, that's awesome with the food because that's
Yeah.
one of the things I try to do too when I travel out is,
Yeah.
I think locals love that you can appreciate their food,
Yeah. Well, San Diego has an incredible food scene.
everything.
And it just every single year it just gets better and better. There's so many good things about here. In fact, my husband and I, when we fly somewhere else and we land in the San Diego airport, we always land like around sunset. And we're driving
Which
out of
is
the
just
airport going,
gorgeous.
"Why
Yeah.
did I leave here? Like, what was I thinking? Why did I pay money to
Yeah.
go look at water somewhere else?" Like, what
Well,
was I
that's, and
thinking?
it's such a cool, I like taking off out of San Diego too.
Yeah.
You go over the Point Loma and you're just like,
Yep.
yeah, this doesn't suck.
Yeah. It's a beautiful city. Yeah. I love to live here. It has become the number one most expensive city in the entire country, though.
Yeah.
Most expensive city to
For
live
a reason.
for a reason. Yeah, that's fair. But still, it's so expensive that like even a studio apartment in the neighborhood that I live in is 3,500 to 3,800 for 600 square feet.
Yeah.
It's
I
it's
just want you to get the gas prices down to I just went to Dallas, Texas a week and a half ago. It's 2.69 a gallon there.
Yep.
Like I'm looking at like, does that say $2? And that's why no one else is complaining about gas. I was like, I come home, it's 4.89,
Well,
4.79.
here it's still close to six.
Yeah, I know. Well, I
Yeah.
have diesel in my RV and it's 5.99 to 6.49.
Well, there's um it's very easy to fix the gas prices. We could just turn the spigot back on. It's really not that
Yeah,
difficult.
I know.
Like we could turn the spigot back on of the gas, build a wall, build a base camp for the homelessness, and solve most of our problems, but we don't, you know.
And that's why you're running.
And that's why I'm running. I'm running really because I am a solution provider. That's my whole gift to the world, is to look at a very difficult problem. That's really not, we make it difficult. It's not that hard of a problem. And
Exactly.
I go, what is, if we just folded the 2 points together, how could we get there fast? Right? If you're looking at the border, you just build a wall, put the National Guard there, and reform immigration. It's not that difficult, but we don't do it. Got to ask yourself why. If it's easy and we're not doing it and it costs less,
I
something
always
is
think
wrong.
it's always about the money.
Yeah, well, homelessness,
Yeah.
you're in Southern California. I've been
Yeah.
up to LA. Here in San Diego, I'll walk the Tenderloin. Homelessness is destroying tourism in many spots,
Unbelievable.
up and down the state. And I've been on the news probably 60, 70 times just about homelessness in our country and here in California. And there is a definite solution. But why would you solve it if you made a business out of it?
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
They
It's
made a
about money.
business out of it. So they're not going to solve it. And when I was on the news, I said the tourism here in San Diego relies on like Balboa Park, downtown, and
Yeah.
it's covered in homeless people, thousands of homeless people. It's very easy to fix, but we don't have the will to fix it because we want to make money. That's how nasty it is. So, yeah.
We're the same way. I mean, like obviously I'm in LA County and
Yeah.
the laws that they've passed just for LA, like if they don't provide enough homes in Redondo Beach, right now we're building a homeless shelter on Pacific Coast Highway. It's a half mile from the ocean that they have to provide free homes. They bought a motel and they're converting it to a homeless
Yeah.
shelter near businesses, near $1 million homes,
Mhm.
right next to the beach, just
Well,
so
yeah.
they can enforce the laws. If so, they can't. If it's so weird.
What they really do. So this housing first model, if you look at somewhere like the Tenderloin, 60% of people that they put inside, because they take them from the street inside,
Yeah.
60% of them OD.
Right.
And then a week later, they put another person in there. So they want to keep a mill of homelessness going. And they do not at all costs. They don't care if it hurts small business. They do not care at all if it's going to bring a drug scene into that neighborhood where it didn't exist before and
Right.
make it unsafe for tourists, for the people that are business owners there. It's very nasty. They get a huge, so not only do they make money to refurbish that hotel, they make
Right.
a monthly stipend to put somebody in that bed.
Yeah.
So why would you ever want to stop it? It's like the biggest Ponzi scheme that I've ever seen. I have billions of dollars and there's more homeless. How? How is that possible? Like, give me the money, homelessness will be gone. If I was the governor, homelessness in California over.
I
It
think
would take me less than 6 months to clean up every single homeless person in the state.
that's because you're a business person first and you have
Yeah.
real world experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I appreciate politicians, lifetime politicians, but I really don't.
Yeah.
It's like I want you to go out in the real world and
Yeah.
then go into and
And
serve
then go and
and then
serve
serve.
and then go back to the real world.
Yeah.
I'm all for term limits. These people being there in the latter parts of their life, I don't understand what that's
What
about.
do I don't know how you'd want to answer this. What do you think about age limits?
Um,
Because ageism is tough, right? I
yeah,
mean,
ageism is tough to say. Now, there's certain people, like if you look at whether you like Trump or not,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
still got it.
He can still talk to you.
He
Yeah.
can still talk and he's still, has the energy that it takes to be in office. But then if you look at some of the other politicians, you're like they're stroking out while they're talking to you. And no offense to
Literally.
them. Like I love older people. My grandparents were my favorite people on planet Earth.
Yeah.
But at some point, you are not going to be able to keep up with the needs of Americans, what they need currently. Like you have been sitting in office, like here's why there needs to be term limits. Because then you would go, okay, my legacy is going to be created in 8 to 12 years.
Right.
I'm going to be remembered for what I do right here. Not, I'm going to go into my grave as a politician. So
Yeah.
all this, they're just trying to keep their job. Well, if you knew your job wasn't forever, you would do more at your
Exactly.
job. But because they're just trying to please everybody and all the people that give them money, they end up vote. Like if you look at the way Daryl Issa recently voted, it's like, what kind of rhino nonsense is this? No matter what side of the aisle you're on, you expect your brand of politician to carry your voice.
Correct.
And they don't, because they have all these little caucuses and all these little deals and people come and stroke them out money. You wonder how they're so rich.
No, we
I
don't.
mean, they're so rich. Like all this lobby money is insane. And the way that it gets in, because now I have had to research the laws of how you actually get this money.
Yeah,
The amount of loopholes, there's like a hole, there's like 90 holes in the boat. You could get in. That money goes in and out. Like it's amazing to me.
it's like I said, it's always about money,
Oh,
and
always.
if you took that out, there's a guy said, a football player can't gamble on NFL games because he can influence the game.
Yeah.
But Congress can still invest in
Yes.
companies that they're
Yeah.
ruling on.
Well, they had that report came out and it showed how rich they are, just from their stock market plays. And you're like, really? But the American people just keep letting it go. We're complicit in our own failure because we watch it and we think we can't affect it, so we don't. When in reality, we could affect it if we want to, because we're a republic.
Correct.
See, they want to keep pushing all this, oh, this is a threat to democracy. There's only democracy because we're a republic. And we all forget that this is the people's country. If we all woke up to that, we could make a lot of change.
I think the amount of distraction that the media gives us is
Mhm.
on totally on purpose.
I know
Like,
I feel like I'm part of that media machine. I'm on like 3 times a day, but I'm trying to say the truth. But yeah, the media just like, ooh, look over here, new shiny thing. Don't worry
yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, because we talk about term limits when you see Dianne Feinstein making votes on the day she died.
Yeah, it's like,
How's that happen?
really?
Like
Yeah.
she's dying in her deathbed, but she voted?
Yeah.
Really? Like,
Wait, did you?
you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, so I don't want to say at 80, I don't know if there's a cognitive test or what have you. I mean, McConnell's doing it, I mean, there's both sides of the aisle have a,
We keep voting them back in.
yeah, why?
Like we don't like it, but we do it anyway. I mean, it's crazy because I think the general population doesn't pay that much attention to politics. They watch the news, but they're like, oh, I can't even deal with this, so I'm
Yeah.
just gonna not even think about it. And then they go to vote, and the only name they know is the one that's been in there so long. So
And
they
they kind
just
of like how everything's going for them. So they either
yeah,
change their vote if that they don't, if they're not happy, or they stick
yeah.
with what they got.
Yeah, I would encourage people to be looking at this younger generation of leaders who has big solutions for the country because we're like the other day I was on a panel and my fellow Republican candidates, two of their answers for which is one thing you'd reach across the aisle on. What's one thing you want to solve that you'd be willing to make a deal on? One of them
Yeah.
said EV cars. I'm like,
Oh my God.
we're almost in a war, but okay, EV cars. And the other one said to preserve the sand on San Diego's beaches for tourism. And I said, that's precious of you. I mean, like I drive a Tesla. Okay, fine. I live in Del Mar. I love the beach. There's not going to be tourism to worry about if we have World War III. Like there's not, we have open borders. Our economy is failing. Like these are the things that you would care about. But they say that because that's what they think voters care about. Voters care about the border. That's the number one issue right now.
Yeah.
The number one issue everywhere. Like here in San Diego, we had 40,000 migrants dropped off in downtown.
But let me ask you this question.
40,000 from
So
Texas.
if we get about the money, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the illegal immigrants are paying into Social Security and taxes, even through false SSI numbers, right? Because they work out in the fields, they get SSI,
And
so they're
SIN
paying
numbers, yeah.
taxes and they're paying Social Security into Social Security, and they'll never collect out of it because it's not a real number.
Correct.
So the government is collecting money
I
without
know.
ever having to pay it out. So why stop that spigot?
Yeah. Well, so here's what I think, and this is not going to be popular opinion by everybody, but I don't really care. That's my brand, right? I don't care what you think. Like you'll live. Everyone will be okay. We're not that precious. So there's a recruiting crisis in the country. We're
Yeah,
20% low on recruiting, which puts us at risk as a nation. The other countries that are at war, they know that our recruiting's low. They're trying
I
to
know. Yeah.
get us focused on all these other things so that we're not focused on the real threat that's already in our country that we allowed across our border. So I said, what if we come up with legislation called the Patriotic Pathway to Citizenship?
Yeah.
So, like, let's say we started at like 2020 and back or 2018 and back. You were here before then. If you serve in our military, citizen or not, you become a citizen, and so do your mom and dad. They have a pathway during your 4 years to get in and become citizens.
Right.
Because in talking to the Latina community, they want to be law-abiding, tax-paying citizens.
Absolutely.
The Latina community is not the community that the country is worried about right now.
It was Africa.
We're worried about this new migrant thing. And I was thinking, like, why do they call them migrants? Well, because they're migrating like birds do from continents that they have no business coming here. They get on planes, so somebody paid for that. They land on the other side of the border. The cartel coordinates with them, gets
Bring
them
them
across
over.
our border, and then we bus them and fly them around to cities so that with the 2030 census, we can redistrict everything and turn the whole country blue. That's the plan. They don't even want them to vote. They just want enough of them in certain cities so they can redistrict the
Redistrict. Yeah.
entire. Yeah. So, but people don't, the general public does not know this stuff. So they don't even know, oh, it's compassionate to let them cross the border. Where's this money going to come? Is it compassionate when you kick 161,000, you have 161,000 migrants seen at VA hospitals before veterans? Is that compassionate? Is it compassionate that we had a rise in homelessness because we gave the VA HUD-VASH program away to migrants? Does that seem really compassionate? Like, choose your
But
compassion.
we're in
How about you
LA,
be
so
compassionate here?
I like one of the stats I heard was the mission in downtown LA has open beds
Mhm.
because they have a no drug policy.
Yeah.
People would rather do their drugs out on the street than have a shelter.
Yeah. It's not, people always think it's a housing and shelter problem. It's a rule following problem.
That's right.
It's a lawlessness problem. So my solution is we build a big base camp, like a forward operating base, if you will. It would have big, those huge tents that are made of,
Yeah.
that not plastic, but you know what I'm talking about, with a bunk system. It would have showers, chapel, cafeteria, commissary. They all have money, commissary, and a rehab facility. And then you can bucketize everybody to why you are homeless and start to work them through the system. Because if you turn law enforcement on at the same time you have a base camp, then you can say you are doing drugs on the street and dealing them. You can go to jail right now or go to base camp. And you don't even have to go to base camp clean. When you get there,
You
when
won't
you
have
run out of
access.
drugs is when you stop doing it.
Right.
But you're going to go through rehab because a lot of these, I talked to 1,000 homeless people. All of them said, if I knew I could stay somewhere long enough to get all the way clean, I'd go. They know these
Create the
28-day
fob and
programs.
then
Yeah, they know these 28-day programs are not going to work. But if they could stay somewhere for a year, get reintroduced to their family, get a job, that's who should be in transitionary housing, people that are graduating right into
to
this
the next
housing onto
level.
their
Yeah.
next step. Because transition without transformation,
Doesn't work.
futile. No,
Just
you
go
just take people
right back up.
inside, they die, and you put someone else there. So this is probably more than you wanted on your
No, no,
menu today for your travel show.
well, no, but it's interesting because my wife, we say the same things. I mean, we're in LA. It's like you drive down the street, you're going to see camps of homelessness.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, everywhere. Here in San Diego,
everywhere.
there's like a Thunderdome up by the river up in Oceanside where there's hundreds of people sleeping in an encampment they made. And I said, how did you guys know to come down here? Like, why here? Why did you come down to the river? They said, oh, the city brought us down here and said it was federal land and that we could stay.
Yeah.
Because federally, they don't have the will to do it. The city now doesn't have to clean it up. It's not on their land. So their solution was just put everybody down by the river. Well, a bunch of those people ended up passing away when it got really cold. They froze because they're down by the riverbed and it got down in the 30s and
Yeah.
they were like on drugs and ended up not waking up. So, that this is the compassion that we try to
You know why
peddle.
the LAPD why they don't like enforcing the laws on the homeless? They were given an edict where they had to catalog if you arrest somebody, you have to catalog all of their goods, their
Yeah.
shopping carts, everything in the shopping carts, all that.
Yeah.
Then they have to wait for a van to come and pick all that up, and then they take it to a warehouse in East LA.
Yeah.
The ACLU is suing the city for not because if you get arrested in West LA, how's that homeless person going to get to all their goods, their shopping cart, over in East LA?
Yeah.
So they were suing to give them bus passes to and from the warehouse to pick up their goods. And that's what a cop has to do is like, do I really want to spend 2 hours cataloging?
Well, even if it's like, let's say one of them gets robbed or gets raped or
Right.
something, and they call a police. Now the police is like, well, they're not going to do anything. We can't put them in jail. And
There's
they
no
don't even want
money.
to deal with it. Like I've had so many people tell me I have been raped 4 feet from a police officer and they did not do anything to stop it, which made me feel even more like even less safe because I realize now even the police are not going to save me. And it just ends up like every single homeless person I've talked to has been robbed. At least
Yeah.
most of them have been assaulted. It's not safe for them. It's not safe for the community. I've stepped over dead bodies thinking they were asleep. I had a drug dealer going down the street, pushing a cart, and it was selling sodas. And my whole team and I were there doing outreach. And I bought a bunch of sodas, and this little girl runs up. She said, "Don't buy a soda from them. They're about to go sell drugs to my mom." We were like, "No." So we film it. Sure enough, the guy walks right over and sells drugs to her mom. So we bought sodas off a drug dealer. I mean, but this is, I asked the homeless people, I have it on camera, how far would I have to go to get drugs right now? They're like, "What do you want?"
Yeah.
Like, we all have something, like, everybody's a drug dealer. What are you talking about?
Well, that's what they said in Seattle, that 99% of the homeless that were arrested were on drugs.
Yeah.
99%.
Yes, of course they
And then
are.
they legalized personal usage quantities on hand. So even if you get caught with heroin, it's
Well,
not
try
even
talking to the
not even a
homeless where
ticketable offense.
they get dropped off the Narcan.
Yeah.
So the homeless are like, "So you want us to revive each other from
Yeah.
drugs you gave us with needles you gave us. And then if one of us overdoses, you simply want us to place their dead body in the middle of the street so you can just scoop them
Pick up
up."
later.
45 of them per month in San Diego downtown, dead bodies. Like, it's,
That's the gaslight
uh-huh.
district. And
Well, it's called the Bottoms. It's, a little bit
yeah.
east of there by Father Joe's, but it's a 5-minute walk to Petco Park from there. It's not like
No.
far away.
Well, even
You
like
get off.
Balboa Park. I mean,
Oh, they're in Balboa Park. You
yeah,
sleep right in Balboa Park.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I used to go out to as a kid. We used to go and go to the zoo and then all the NASA museums down there or whatever. And then they had, I don't know if they still have it, the old football field where the Chargers originally started.
I think they I think they're doing something with that, or that they already did.
Okay.
The old Chargers stadium, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a crazy world we live in. I try to do my best by veterans,
Yeah. Yeah.
and trying to get to Washington so I can help, get some of this legislation passed. I really just want to provide them leadership. It's like, enough is enough. Stop your grandstanding and let's just be at work right now. Yeah, there's a camera on you. Stop reading your paper that you wrote 2 weeks ago that doesn't even make sense now in this time and space. Just be an adult
Well, that's
and
what I
be.
was saying about Trump. It's like, I want to see Biden give a speech where he's not looking at somebody or being
Yeah,
fed the questions, like
yeah.
just a normal
He
conversation.
can barely do it then.
I know, but I mean, so you're right about the age. Like, I really think it's dependent upon the person.
Well,
But
I think it's going to end up being Gavin Newsom or Michelle Obama that they try to put in at the last second. And it just is. If you're you're
don't do that.
Californian, you're like, "What are you doing?
I
Don't
mean,
do
on
it."
one hand, I'm like, good, get Gavin Newsom out of my state.
Yeah, but then now he's like an oligarch, like over the top of, the whole country. No, thank you. That family has been staging him for this run for forever. They are the most corrupt family,
He's
other than the
prepped,
Clintons, in our entire country. They're
prepped and
horrible.
primed. He's ready.
Yeah. I
He's
yeah,
not
I
running though.
yeah, I was not primed for anything. Like, I was like, this was not in my plans as a kid, to be like the CEO of a publicly traded company or to be running for office. But I think after being in the Marine Corps, it sets you up for success, because
Yeah.
everything after that's easier. Like, I wrote 4 books. People are like, "How are you going to write a book?" I'm like, "I'm just going to type it." Like, it's really not that difficult. It's not, everybody makes things hard that are not hard. So I know what hard is, and this is not even that hard. So,
That's what I feel about the podcast. Like, how do you do a podcasting on top of your job and top of it, traveling for work and all that? I'm
like,
like,
I sit down and talk to people.
yeah, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
So real quick, because I don't want to eat up your time, but I'm really interested in the nicotine free, getting people off
Yeah.
nicotine.
Yeah. So, as you know, people transferred. I mean, some people still do your traditional dip, the grains. I could never. In fact, one time I lost a bet in the Marine Corps and had to do like dip. I got so ill. I don't know how people do it. I don't know what's in it, but I could not stomach it. It was disgusting. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. But there's people that transition from that to pouches.
Yeah.
So it's just a cleaner way to still get your nicotine. So they're just putting the little pouch in, throwing the pouch out. So it's like less mess, but it's only less mess. It's the same amount of
Yeah.
cancer causing addiction that you had before, but it's hard. It's a hard habit to break. Some people say even harder in some ways than cigarettes, because it's, you're putting that thing in your lip. It's like it's a compulsion at some point. So we thought, how could we help our veteran community, especially our first responders, like all these people, that are in the communities that do that? How can we break this cycle for them in an easy way? like vaping kind of did in some ways, for smoking cigarettes. So we thought, what if we just do the same pouch that they're used to and they get a similar sensation, but it has no nicotine. So they can put the pouch, they can keep their habit for a
Yeah.
while of putting the pouch in, get that little buzz sensation they're looking for with no cancer causing properties. So we thought this would be a good way to wean people off of this. And we called it Conquer. Eat, sleep, conquer, repeat is the motto.
Yeah.
Freedom calls, right? Freedom from this addiction. But also, we tried to brand it to that population. Like we wanted them to understand we made this product for you to help save your mouth and to save your life and help you become free of this particular addiction. So we're very excited about it. It's a huge market. We'll be one of the only people in the entire United States with this product, so it's going to be a big
We need to get you
boost
around the
to.
rodeos.
Oh yeah, we'll be going after everywhere. We're going to try to break this cycle for all of the people that use it. We really want them to feel like that whole conquer mantra. They're able to conquer it. Plus, if you're in the military, conquering is sort of part of who you
What you
are.
do.
Yeah, because you play a game called I Win. That's what I told the other candidates. I said, guys, you don't realize we're playing a game called Kate Wins. So like good luck to you, but I'm gonna beat you.
Well, that's what you should do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like to crap them out, make them sad if they
I'll tell
quit.
you, I chewed tobacco for 30 plus years.
Wow.
I mean, I started when I was in high school, so
How'd you get off?
17. Uh, then I quit 6 years ago.
Wow. Was it
But
difficult to quit?
yes,
Yeah. Do
yeah.
you think a product like this might have helped transition you off?
That's why I'm interested. When you
Yeah.
start talking about pre-recording, I was like, oh, I got to bring that up because
Yeah.
I want it for me. Like I would love to give somebody something. Like I would carry that with me and then give it to
Yeah.
somebody I see dip and say, I know you want to quit.
Yeah.
I know you want to quit,
Yeah. Yeah. I
but
mean, I think it really salvages like, your gum tissue, your teeth. A lot of people end up getting cancer, from nicotine. So if there's anything we can do to help stop that, because I make claims for people all the time and they
yeah,
always want to claim, issues with their mouth or cancers caused by that. Sometimes we're successful in making that claim. Sometimes we're not because they didn't start it in the military, but
right.
definitely those little ritualistic habits people start in the military. They get these little OCD compulsions from having PTSD
Yeah.
and they start to latch on to things like that. So,
And
vaping, smoking, dip is very prevalent in the veteran and active duty community.
what I looked up, they said that the nicotine in chewing tobacco was 2.5 times more was stronger than smoking.
Oh yeah.
So it's 2.5 times harder to quit than smoking
Oh,
is.
way hard. Yeah. And that's why we're thinking if we can give people the sensation that they're looking for
Yeah,
and the ritualistic habit of doing, especially if they've already transitioned to pouches, we thought that was the easiest runway to provide them of getting free, freedom calls of getting free of that addiction. Yeah. Addictions are interesting.
yeah,
Like some people don't view smoking cigarettes and nicotine as much an addiction as drugs and alcohol, but it's people I know that have smoked or done dips that it's harder to quit that than almost anything else, especially since you do it for such a long period of
yeah,
time, for years, decades.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it's legal.
When you started it young. See, a lot of these military kids started at 18.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you're doing it by the
Just
time you're
about to turn
30,
18.
yeah, because it kind of becomes part of who you are.
Yeah.
Like it's part of your brand identity. It's hard to stop doing those things. So yeah, we're excited about it.
But
We
in
actually came up with a rap song for it. I'm doing the commercial today. I gotta tell you, I produce rappers. But it is one of the best songs. I sent it to the team and they were like, oh my God, this is gonna go viral. It's like the best. I'll just send it to you.
yeah, absolutely. But what's the name of the company or the product?
Conquer.
Conquer. And how
Conquer.
do they find that? Is it
I think the site should be up later on today, but they would
oh,
find it at theconquerbrands.com.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to
It's
put
going to be,
the link on my website too.
yeah, it'll be for sale soon. We're going out to kind of finalize all the marketing at the TPE show in Vegas this week. I'm going to take my whole C-level staff out and wrap all that up. But exciting things, we
Yeah.
do a lot of really exciting things for veterans. We have a $4 billion pipeline of people to help. We have 4 million veterans that we can reach out to. And, we charge $9.97 a head. So it's basically a $4 billion pipeline of business we have out ahead of us. So as far as being a public company, when our shareholders are looking at value, not a lot of companies have, we did 120% more this month in sales than last month.
Wow.
7 months ago, we had 5 employees. Now we have 50 in 7 months while I have been running for Congress and doing all this other stuff. I mean, we
Yeah.
just have in everywhere I look is just massive growth. So it's in 2024 is going to be something. I'm excited.
So your election, I mean, how do you compartmentalize your time? Because you got X amount of time towards running for Congress, X amount of time for this, X time. Oh, by the way, you have a family.
Yeah. I have a
Yeah.
6-year-old. I mean, I have really good staff. I have 3 people that manage just my calendars for the different stuff. We have 2 PR firms. I was said the other day, every day I don't get out of bed, 75 people who work
Perfect.
with or
Yeah.
for me would their livelihood would be in jeopardy, because of what we
Yeah.
do. It feels like good to have that weight, but sometimes, it's like, I don't feel good today. It doesn't matter. I got to just go do it. But they get my schedule. They try to time it out where I have a few minutes between meetings, but there's days where I'm on the news like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I used to think how exciting it would be to be on the news until I had to get on the news at 6 a.m. 3 days a week,
Yeah. Six, and hopefully it's not 6 a.m. Eastern time.
No, 6 a.m. here. It's prime time on the East Coast. They like to
Yeah.
have me in the prime time hour for Real America's Voice and Newsmax, which is nice of them, but not nice to me because I'm in San Diego.
Well, I talked to Tulsi Gabbard, and she's 3 hours even further behind.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, like, so when you fly and you land, you
Yeah.
got a 6 hour lag. Like your
Yeah.
body's just got to be
It,
off.
it's tiring, all the news, but I enjoy it. I feel like it propels me, my brand, my race, and our company forward. So it's all people rely
Oh,
on us
good.
to be successful. So you have to do it.
Well,
Yeah, failure is not an
did you get
option.
that from? I mean, I think in the Marines, like if you're leading people that are underneath you, it doesn't matter if you're feeling a little tired or a little
Yeah.
sick. It's like,
Yep, you just go. I,
huh,
I always like tell everybody I have my blinders on and I'm
yeah,
always in forward motion. It's like I coach people. I coached, about 500 real estate agents um over the last couple of years, and I told them, if you don't think the devil doesn't knock on my door every morning, like, hey,
yeah,
Kate, you got a minute? I have to say, no, I don't have time for it. It's not on the calendar today. You can circle back tomorrow. Well, he's been unsuccessful at getting on my calendar for years.
yeah.
I stay busy, doing things for other people and to propel our businesses. I don't have time to get sidelined like most people do. I would challenge anybody watching this, hearing that, get busier, fill your calendar up with doing something purposeful.
And don't give the downtime any leeway.
Yeah. Yeah. You could get very sad if you sit by yourself and think too much.
Well, that's what I do my travel time for when I'm sitting in
Maybe we
traffic
read murder mysteries instead of thinking too much.
or listen to a podcast called The Travel.
A podcast about murder mysteries. That's like I have an affinity for murder mysteries. I try to only watch them on TV, but essentially, like, occasionally a comedy gets in. But
My wife's the same way.
that's how I rest. No, women love the murder mysteries. I don't know if we're like trying to get skills, or I don't know. But
That's why I get worried
that's
about
what
it.
you
Like
worry about.
I'm
Yeah,
starting to look at things like
be very worried.
it's like, hey,
Uh-huh.
better treat you nice. You know how to
Oh, if
do
she starts watching the How to Get Away with Murder, you got problems.
it. She already admitted that with the person she was dating before me, before we got married. She used to watch that show. I'm like, oh, hey,
She's like,
yeah,
sleep with one eye open, honey.
exactly. What is the best way for my listeners to stay in touch with what you got coming up? Is it Instagram,
If
website?
I myself, I personally manage my Twitter, my X, and I'm very active on both the public company side and for myself. So if they go to at Kate Monroe CEO on X, they can follow me. And at Psyche World, they can follow the company. But they're gonna get, a similar look into both.
Sure.
Also, if they want to know about my congressional run, they could go to kateforcongress.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, all the rest.
And I'll have all those links on my website. So if anybody's
Perfect.
listening, just go to the website, they'll go to your page and I'll make sure all the links are there easy to get to.
Yep. And then Kate on the news, if they want to know anything about me on the news. I've been on the news, like I said, about 100 times. So if you ever want to know what I think, I've said it. I've said it aloud. It's on the news.
Well, that's a good deal, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations and best of luck.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good luck in 2024.
Thanks.
All right, Kate. Thanks.
Bye bye.